The echoes of history often whisper tales of noble quests and grand empires. But beneath the familiar narratives lie forgotten pages, secrets hidden under the dust of centuries. Today, we delve into a chapter rarely illuminated, one that reveals a truth far more shadowy than the romanticized image of diligent artisans working in medieval towns. What if the very institutions meant to uphold craftsmanship and community in medieval Europe were, in fact, orchestrating an unprecedented economic power grab, their influence extending like a dark hand across the continent? For centuries, powerful guilds dictated the flow of wealth, shaping entire societies from the shadows, their intricate networks reaching into every corner of urban life. This wasn't merely organic growth. It was a calculated consolidation of influence that reverberated through every facet of daily existence, leaving an indelible mark on economic structures that would persist for centuries. The story of medieval guilds, often presented as benevolent protectors of skill and quality, carries a hidden dimension, a complex, sometimes sinister picture of absolute economic control. It's a narrative of power, control, and the often brutal suppression of any challenge to absolute authority. Imagine the bustling markets of London, the vibrant trading hubs of Florence, cities alive with commerce, innovation, and ambition. Here, amidst the clamor of trade and the skilled hands of craftsmen, guilds emerged not merely as associations, but as formidable forces. From the humble shoemaker to the grand merchant involved in international commerce, these organizations systematically claimed control over nearly every aspect of economic activity. Their reach was extensive, their grip ironclad, ensuring that few economic decisions in the burgeoning medieval cities could be made without their explicit sanction or direct involvement.
This wasn't just about making shoes or trading goods. It was about masterminding the very arteries of medieval commerce, asserting dominance over production, meticulously setting prices, and even subtly influencing political appointments within the civic structures themselves. These guilds, comprised of master craftsmen and wealthy merchants, built intricate networks that allowed them to exert an unprecedented level of economic authority. They didn't just set standards, they were the standard. They didn't just participate in the economy, they defined it. Every thread woven, every loaf baked, every coin exchanged bore the invisible imprint of their regulations, their influence a pervasive force, shaping the daily lives of citizens. Their power emanated not from royal decree or inherited titles, but from a strategic consolidation of economic leverage, meticulously built and fiercely guarded.
This was a form of control that went far beyond mere commercial oversight. It was a deep, systemic embedding into the very fabric of society, ensuring that the flow of wealth and the opportunities for advancement were channeled through their carefully constructed pathways. The rise of these formidable entities was not a simple, benevolent development, but a testament to strategic organization and the shrewd exercise of influence. While they undeniably standardized quality, a benefit often highlighted in traditional accounts, this was frequently a byproduct, or perhaps a justification, for a more profound agenda: the fierce protection of their monopolies. This protection came at a significant cost, a cost borne by innovation, by fair competition, and ultimately by the common citizen. New ideas, new methods, new entrants into the market were often stifled, perceived as threats to the established order rather than opportunities for progress. The carefully constructed walls of guild exclusivity served to maintain the prosperity of the privileged few, often at the expense of broader economic development. The economic landscape they forged was one where access to opportunity was restricted, where the path to success was bottlenecked through their tightly controlled membership and rigorous, often prohibitive, entry requirements. Historians, seeking to uncover the true legacy of these enigmatic organizations, have long debated their ultimate nature and impact. Were these guilds truly benevolent protectors of quality and early champions of worker rights, fostering skilled labor and ensuring social welfare for their members? Or, as a more critical perspective argues, were they ruthless cartels wielding their collective power to stifle progress, extort consumers through artificially inflated prices, and brutally suppress any challenge to their absolute authority? This contentious debate lies at the heart of understanding medieval economic power, challenging us to look beyond simplistic interpretations.
The argument for their benevolent role paints a picture of community-oriented institutions. Proponents suggest that guilds provided crucial social safety nets for their members, offering support in times of illness, old age, or misfortune. They fostered a sense of collective identity and shared purpose, elevating the status of skilled labor and ensuring that crafts were passed down through generations, preserving invaluable expertise. Through apprenticeships, they offered structured pathways to acquiring skills, ensuring a high standard of craftsmanship that benefited both producers and consumers. They are seen by some as precursors to modern labor unions, advocating for fair wages, reasonable working conditions, and the dignity of manual labor. This perspective emphasizes their role in establishing a structured, orderly economic environment that contributed to urban stability and growth, presenting them as cornerstones of medieval social and economic life.
However, a closer examination, delving into the nuances rarely discussed in traditional narratives, reveals a much darker, more complex reality. Scholars pursuing this perspective highlight that the internal politics of guilds were often rife with power struggles and exclusive practices. Membership, far from being open to all, was frequently restrictive, based on lineage, wealth, or specific social connections, effectively creating closed shops that limited entry and concentrated power within a select group. This exclusivity stifled competition, ensuring that those outside the guild found it nearly impossible to operate, let alone thrive. The benefits of social welfare and protection, while real for members, were often denied to the majority of the population who fell outside their tightly knit ranks. Furthermore, the methods used to enforce their monopolies were not always benign. The video description alludes to often violent enforcement mechanisms, hinting at a coercive power that extended beyond mere economic regulation.
Guilds were known to guard their trade secrets jealously, to actively undermine or even physically confront competitors, and to use their influence with local authorities to suppress any perceived threats. This could manifest as legal harassment, economic boycotts, or even direct physical intimidation against those daring to operate independently or challenge their established pricing structures. This aggressive protection of their interests paints a picture of medieval economic entities that were willing to employ significant force to maintain their dominance, effectively acting as powerful cartels that prioritized their own profit and control above all else. These organizations operated with a profound understanding of how to consolidate and maintain power. Their control over production ensured that supply could be manipulated to maintain high prices. Their influence over pricing meant they could dictate market value, often to the detriment of the common consumer. And their involvement in political appointments meant that civic leaders and judicial bodies were often sympathetic to or even directly controlled by guild interests, creating a self-perpetuating system of influence. This calculated consolidation of power created a system where economic mobility was severely constrained for those outside the guild's orbit, transforming the vibrant potential of urban economies into tightly controlled domains.
The legacy of the guilds, therefore, is not a simple dichotomy of good or evil, but a deeply interwoven tapestry of progress and repression, community and exclusivity. They undeniably fostered skilled labor, ensuring the preservation of crafts and setting benchmarks for quality that endure in our historical memory. Yet they simultaneously created formidable barriers to entry, stifled nascent innovation, and wielded their collective might to secure economic advantage, often through means that were anything but benevolent.
This hidden power dynamic, rarely discussed in traditional narratives, compels us to reconsider the true cost of their influence and the nature of economic control in medieval Europe. As we pull back the curtain on this forgotten chapter, we uncover not just history, but a nuanced and often chilling reality behind Europe's most powerful medieval economic entities. Their story is a powerful reminder that institutions, even those ostensibly formed for noble purposes, can evolve into instruments of immense power, capable of shaping entire societies, dictating the flow of wealth and suppressing dissent. The echoes of their influence, their calculated consolidation of power, still resonate, providing insights into the enduring struggles between economic freedom and control, competition and monopoly. So, as we reflect on these hidden power grabs from centuries past, what enduring lessons do these medieval economic behemoths offer about the perennial tension between collective good and vested interests? And how might these echoes of time continue to shape our world today?